Hi there. This video is going to be about dealing with low back pain when you're stuck sitting all day. If you got to work at a desk, work at your computer, and you're feeling that ache, which is definitely going to be aggravated if you're sitting all day long and you find yourself shifting back and forth and it's hard to make yourself more comfortable. Now, this isn't going to cure the pain. It is going to give you some relief and help it subside a little bit. And part of the thing with low back pain and postural pain from sitting too long is being able to move around on a somewhat regular basis. So people will say every 20 minutes. Sometimes that's a little bit too much if you concentrate on something. Try to move at least once every hour though, and shift your position around a little bit to find some relief. Now, I've got a box here, and this is in place of an actual chair, and I've got it up, it's about 16 inches up. Is that 16 inches? Yeah, that's 16 inches. So it's roughly the height of an office chair or maybe a kitchen table chair, something like that, all right? And so if you're seated and you're feeling a little bit of low back pain, now one thing to do while you're seated is just bring yourself to the edge of the seat as best you can. And a lot of times when you have pain in the low back, what helps to give some relief is both a little bit of external rotation in the hips and some twisting. So from here, I've got my right foot on the floor. I'm bringing my left ankle across my right thigh in a figure 4 shape with my legs crossed, and it's a loose cross. I'm going to keep my lifted foot tense, so curl the toes, press that leg, the lifted leg into the supporting leg, and then go ahead and turn to the side. So you can bring your hands to the chair, you can bring your hands further back, one hand further back, whatever you like, but the other hand, bring it past the thigh and sit up tall. So try to put the arch into your spine, keep your spine long, top of the head toward the ceiling, look over your back shoulder, and then press your arm into that cross leg, and just breathe with this. And you can come back and forth with this. Maybe just come into this for a moment here, go side to side to loosen up. And I'd say go back and forth just to feel it out, maybe 2 or 3 times. And then the last time you're going to hold this on each side, just keep yourself lifted, breathe into this, and you want to think about holding somewhere between 30 seconds to maybe a minute. And if you want to get really hardcore, you can try to hold onto the engagement, keep the tension in the twist, and maybe hold somewhere closer to 2 minutes. And that might be a bit much, but just see how far you want to go with this. And once you start getting into this a little bit further, you'll feel how engaging that tension starts to give you at least a little bit of relief here. You're going to feel it through the outer hip, all along the crest of the pelvis that leads toward your low back, and lengthening your spine helps us out quite a bit, keep in mind. Now, this is a loose cross of legs in a figure 4. Another way to do this is with basically more of an upwards cross. So here I'm bringing my ankle past my thigh, but I'm keeping the knee vertical. And I'm going to twist the other way with this leg here. It's the same basic principle, but a lot of times if your hips are really tight, it's going to be hard to find this shape. So you can keep the knee up high. Just bring the ankle past the thigh, curl the toes of the foot, keep it engaged, and keep the tension. So you want to really press the top leg into the bottom one, press the bottom leg into the top. And then from here, my right leg's lifted, my left hand's coming to my right knee. I'm going to set my right hand behind you, and then twist to this side. Now again, try to keep your spine tall, look over the back shoulder, and use the hand that's holding onto the leg. Use the legs as well, so everything's pressing into everything else. And you're holding this position with tension, and breathe into it here. And then you can release from there. Now, one way to do that is seated, the way I just did. And another way to do it, if you need to stand up, is lean against the wall. And you can come up a little bit higher. And this may make the poses a little bit more accessible to you. So I'm just going to lean against the wall right here. So I've got my butt on the wall, my feet are forward, and about 12 inches, maybe 18 inches, not too far. Just enough so that I can lean here and I don't have to worry about balancing at all. So I'm going to use my right foot as my base, bring my left ankle across my right thigh, and I'm back in that figure 4. And again, keep some tension in the lifted leg. So I've got the toes curled. I'm going to keep them curled. And then just start to sink down. And maybe you come down a little bit, and this is plenty. Try to keep that knee pressed out to the side. You don't have to crank on it, keep in mind. Keep this leg tense. And you can just fold this down if you like. You can twist to one side, and then maybe twist to the other and take it there. And you may find relief in one position or the other, where you come forward, over toward the foot, or over toward the lifted knee. And that's another way to hold this pose. You can also fold this just straight down. And you may find that just going back and forth like this helps as well. But play with the position. You don't have to worry about your balance too much. It's about holding tension with the legs pressing into each other, and then maybe taking some additional tension by moving into a twist. And here's another way to do this with that figure 4. Now you can do a similar thing that I did with the second pose when I was seated, which is basically leaning against the wall here, but just having the legs crossed, but keeping the knee up high. Now you're going to press your legs in toward each other, and here again I've got the toes curled. And then again from here, you can fold this forward, you can twist in the direction of the knee, or in the direction of the foot, but keep the legs pressing into each other, keep the tension. And it's a little bit harder to hold tension on the foot right here when you're trying to keep the knee up high. So I would recommend just taking this to one side. Now you can lean this back against the wall. If you want to take a deeper twist, you can pull yourself down toward that lifted leg. And you may find just moving up and down, in and out of this is actually gives you some relief. If you find one position or another, whether you're further up or further down, seems to help more, go ahead and just pause there. Breathe into it for at least a few seconds. And to really get some relief, usually you want to kind of count this out and just take it down to about 30 seconds or so. If you can hold more, go ahead, take it there. You can do this multiple times. You can't really do this too much. Just because for one, you're probably gonna get bored. And if you hold it for 2 minutes, that's a long time, keep in mind. So if you do it for a minute, that's fine. But you can go in and out of this multiple times a day. Now, another thing that may give you some relief is basically to take this into sort of a lunge, but standing. So I've got the box in front of me, and here I would just recommend having a chair, step one foot up, and you probably want that top foot to be firm. You can lift the heel of the other leg, but just keep your hips in line. Now, I've got the wall right here so I don't fall down. You can do this just standing, put your hand on your knee, and take this back and forth. Now, you may not feel a whole lot of relief like this initially, but you're gonna stretch out the hip flexors on the back legs. That's in the front of the pelvis and down to the thigh. But really, what actually starts to make this work is either you can stand with your legs like this and move into a twist, and maybe just being vertical like this with one leg lifted and one leg down gives you some of that relief across the low back. If you want to take this even further, I've got my right leg lifted, so I'm going to bring my left elbow past my right thigh, or maybe even straighten the left arm. You can have the arm like this to brace. You can just reach and stay a little bit more upright. But take this down as deep as you like, and then just move back and forth. And you may find that you can find a deeper twist in here, or maybe a much more effective stretch. Each time you change the position, you're changing the combinations of muscles that actually start to twist and respond to the positioning that you're using. So it's worth playing around here until you can find a position that seems to serve you best. And then once you find one that seems to offer some relief, just breathe into it. And you don't have to take too long. So again, you can go back and forth, maybe settle in for about 30 seconds, maybe a minute, maybe more if you want to take it there. I recommend doing this on both sides, even if you just need the relief on one side, just to take it back and forth and even things out. And it's just something quick that you can really play around with here. And you don't need any special setup. You don't have to change your clothes. You can sit on the chair, you can put the foot on the chair, you can use a wall, and a lot of times this will give you just enough relief to make it through the day so that any back pain you have isn't too distracting. Because a lot of times you just need something just to basically bring the level of discomfort down so you can focus on what you're doing. So just keep that in mind. I hope this helps.